My friends, welcome to another discussion on how AI is transforming our industry. And today our guest of honor is Laurent Castellani, the Global Chief Technology Officer of Michelin Connected Solutions. And for many of you, you may have heard the word Michelin and you connect it to tires because it is one of the top tire manufacturers in the world. But what you may not realize is one of the fastest growing areas of the Michelin family is the Michelin Connected Solutions business. And it is all about data, AI, and technology. And that's why we have Laurent here. So welcome to the discussion, Laurent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Laurent lives in Lyon in France. He was in New York, so we took the liberty to just have him spend a little bit of time with us. And thanks for making the trip. As you can see, we have 2 coffee mugs there. But one of Leon's first observations was, wow, you guys drink coffee out of really large cups. In Lyon, we drink it out of, we use espressos. So welcome to New York. A little bit of background on Laurent. He is, of course, Chief Technology Officer for Michelin Connected Solutions, but his background spans work across the whole world. He has worked in the UK, in the USA, in Latin America. He covers APAC. He's a global citizen, so he has a perspective on the world. Frankly, he's also diverse in terms of his background before Michelin. He was in email marketing for many years. If you got some random emails 10 years ago, he was probably the criminal behind it. And then he also worked in a sports betting platform, another world where data is critical, mission critical to the business. So, I'm really excited to get into this topic, Laurent. I'd love to start with just a little background on Michelin Connected Solutions. How does that fit into a tire company? We all equate tires with a very basic kind of business, and here we're talking about pretty high-end technology stuff. How does it fit, and what kind of solution services do you offer?
So maybe if you allow me, I would like to thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here with you today. And I also want to thank Ness for our partnership, which has been good. It's been 10 years, as you know, and we've progressed together, and we've achieved some great things, very good partnership. I think we've learned a lot together, and it's very positive for both our businesses. So thank you, Ness, for being a reliable partner over the last few years.
Thank you.
Now coming back to the business connected solutions, it's part of Michelin in Motion strategy 2030. The objective is to grow the business beyond the tire business. And that's why Michelin has started this connected solution, which used to be called differently in the past, but it's a business that is covering different type of activities. There is fleet management, there are tires as a service, there are mobility as a service as well. So there are multiple activities behind that connected solutions, but definitely it's a service business.
Interesting. And is the focus on just the tire business, or is it broader for Michelin Connected Solutions?
No, Michelin Connected Solution is not just focused on the tire, but as we are coming from Michelin, the fact is we also have the expertise from Michelin, and we have all the experience of the Michelin tire. So there's a connection, and definitely in our services, we also look at tires because, you know, providing predictive alerts on pressure, temperature, and wear is important for our fleet customers. So that's part of our business, but it's not the exclusivity of our business.
The exclusive focus of it. So just for your benefit, I've known Laurent now for 6 years. And for a chief technology officer, I can tell you there's one thing special about him. He's a very business-focused CTO. The first time I walked into his office, he politely shared with me the Michelin business. That was his way of saying, let's not get lost in technology. Let's talk about the business and the solutions we work on. So could you give us a sense of the top 2 or 3 services that Michelin Connected Solutions offers to its customers?
Absolutely. So The first one is fleet management services. Okay, so it's all the services that we deliver to fleet operators where they have to operate a fleet and they have to ensure safety, they have to deliver cargo, and they have to operate at a reasonable cost. The way we deliver that service is by capturing data from a vehicle, processing that data, and then creating insight by processing that data. We use data science technique from data science technique to AI, machine learning, to produce those insights. And these insights we deliver to customer in different ways. And we can go into in a bit more detail a bit later on. The other business that we're covering in business solution, in connected solutions, is tire as a service. This is a business which is helping customer delegating tires to us. Instead of the customer managing their tires, they delegate that to us. So they just consume the tire as a service. And then there's another activity, and there's a few other ones, but they are, well, I'm not going to spend too much time on those other activities today, but mobility as a service is also another service that we're providing to our customers that help them select the best route to deliver the cargo, to deliver them, to produce and to process their business.
So I would love to take each of these because each of these are fascinating solutions. My friends, each of these is an ecosystem of different users, use cases, and it covers hardware, software, people. Let's take Michelin Connected Fleet, the first one that you mentioned. You give us a quick description of it. The primary customer for Michelin Connected Fleet is a fleet manager. Is that fair?
It's a fleet manager most of the time, yes, but not exclusively. There are some other businesses that are interested, but most of them are actually fleet manager, yes.
Most of the primary customer base. And what you have in the solution are devices that are sitting inside the vehicles, which
Correct.
act as sensors that help you collect the data, which then allow you to serve a whole range of personas: the driver, the fleet manager,
Correct.
the fuel consumption manager. If there is a safety regulation issue, then there's somebody to
Yes.
manage that. So there are so many use cases, but it's all based on the data that you're streaming in from these devices. AI must be transforming all of this.
Yes.
And how can you tell us a little bit of?
Yes. So first of all, the whole process is we capture data, whether we install devices or not. It depends, because today we know that the vehicles are connecting, are
Yes.
more and more connected. They are
Yes.
coming with the equipment that is needed. So we can consume the data from the OEM directly, or we can install some devices and some sensors to capture the information that we absolutely need to produce the insights that are relevant for the customer. And it can vary from temperature in the fridge, it can vary from speed, accelerometer, temperature in the tire, pressure, all these informations, they are transmitted to our platform. The platform is processing it, not always using AI, but sometimes very simply simple processes to determine the journey, the overall journey. And then we prepare the data so that it can be consumed by the customers. It can be consumed on an application. It can be consumed on a mobile. And we see a tendency where many customers, they want to consume the data by embedding the data in their own business system. And this is also the ability for us to process that data and make sure that the data becomes available through what we call an API in concept of technology.
Interesting. So it's a pretty open architecture where the sourcing of the data may happen through your own equipment or OEM equipment.
Absolutely.
And the provision of the insights could be done through your own front end or the client's front end.
Yes, absolutely. And the mobile app, because we also have mobile apps that are actually meant for drivers to help them when we provide some route solution. And the fleet manager, they are what we are trying to do in the context of fleet management is to address every single pain point that the fleet manager might be confronted with. Depending on the business you are in, you might be faced with different type of issues. Sometimes it's transporting fresh food, where you have some constraints. Sometimes you are transporting dangerous goods and you have other constraints. If you are doing long haul, you have some specific constraints, and fuel consumption might be a constraint. Total cost of ownership might be a constraint. So for each of these pain points, we are addressing them as part of our solution, where we again capture the data, process the data, enrich the data when we need to enrich the data with weather information or external party information that help us provide insights that are relevant and that are actionable for the fleet manager. And they are the one deciding how and what are the actions that they need to take.
Interesting. So you use the word pain points, right? And just for the viewers, a pain point could be that you want to make sure that the driver is safe. Is that what you mean? Or
That's one example. The driver is safe, that you are using the best route from a safety perspective or from a cost perspective, that you want to make sure that your cargo will be delivered on time, so the ETA for the cargo to be delivered in the right place. So all these, for us, what we call a pain point for the customer, these are elements that needs to be improved, need to be dealt with from a customer perspective.
And on top of that, one big pain point, I believe, is in some countries especially, regulations
Absolutely.
are increasing the complexity of what it means to manage fleets. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so different regulations, there are some countries that are more that are putting more regulations in place for fleet managers, and then there are some countries that are more flexible. But you have regulations about the type of equipment that you need in the vehicle. You have regulations about the places where you can drive with a vehicle of a certain category. So, for example, in cities in Europe, in many places, you cannot drive with a big truck in the cities. You have to manage it differently. In the UK, for example, you have regulations about cameras. If you drive in London, you have to have cameras around your vehicle. This is a regulation. So the fleet manager are confronted with regulations. Europe is actually putting a lot of regulations, and in different countries you have different regulations that are applicable. There are some regulations that are applicable in North America. There are regulations that are applicable in Australia, and there are applications that are applicable in many countries. So our solutions, they are following those regulations, and they are making sure that the solutions that we deliver to the customer, they are respecting those regulations so that they are not going to be in trouble, they are not going to be fined or prevented from operating their business because they are not following the regulations.
Interesting. So you have a very complex ecosystem of sources of data, provision of data. You've got a whole set of pain points that you have to manage across. This is a situation which is tailor-made for tapping into the power of AI. Because you're dealing with reams and reams of data with lots of pain points, with so many dimensions. Can you share with the users one or two of what you think are perhaps the best examples of using AI in MCF?
Yes. So I can use a couple of examples where we've used AI to produce insights that are actionable from the customer. In the UK, for example, there is a regulation about brake pad inspections. By using data science technique, and again, I use data science technique because data science technique can range from simple algorithm to AI, machine learning, or Gen AI. And in this context, it was more like data science technique, quite advanced, but still data science technique. We actually were able to capture the data, capture the information about the vehicle, capture the behavior of the driver with the vehicle, and we were able to extrapolate the wear of the pad, the brake pad wear, so that we can reduce the amount of inspection that was necessary for the vehicle. So some of the customers are very happy with this because they don't have to stop their vehicle 4 times a year to respect the regulation, but they can stop their vehicle only once a year. The rest of the time, the algorithm is giving them the information about the inspection, if an inspection is necessary or if an inspection is not necessary. That's an example of where AI or data science technique can help us compute
That is
the
so
data and then produce relevant insights that are bringing benefits to the customer. And we know that stopping a vehicle for a fleet manager is a loss of business.
It's major. By the way, I wish I had it in my car. I always get a ticket because I forgot to get something inspected in New York City, as some of you may be aware. Any other use case? I've heard of smart vision. I've heard of natural language processing for a dispatcher.
Yes. One more that I can talk about, which is very recent. We recently launched an AI assistant because we provide standard reports like many applications, but the customers, the way they want to consume the data, to analyze the data, to slice and dice the data is always specific to their business, specific to their requirements, specific to the needs, specific to the week, or specific to an event. So we've actually implemented a machine learning model that we adapted to take into account the fleet management business. And today, the AI assistant is a natural language component that the customer can interact with to slice and dice their own data the way they want.
Interesting.
And this is fully autonomous. They shouldn't say autonomous, it's not autonomous, but they don't need anybody. They can run their own requests to build their own report based on that AI assistant. And today we have more than 1,000 customers that are using it, and it's progressing. We are expanding the number of criteria and the ability for the customer to process more and more data so that they can create reports the way they want to create the reports. So it's interesting because it's actually giving the ability for the customer to expand the way they consume data. So instead of just the fleet manager, another type of persona can consume the data, can slice and dice the data the way they want to slice the data. For example, the financial director of a company might want to see the data from a different angle than the fleet manager. And this AI assistant is allowing this new persona to consume the data without building specific reports for that person.
Wow. And because it's natural language, you can, and I know Michelin Connected Fleet serves many markets across the world with different languages. It's very easy to make it
Very
across.
simple.
You can speak Spanish to it, you can speak English, French, and that itself is a powerful capability that AI brings.
Absolutely.
Right? And the one thing, I know you said this once, Laurent, that AI is not your enemy. It can actually create more value for you. This is a great example. It's not automating jobs. It's actually enabling you to get to insights without reducing jobs. It's actually making those same jobs more valuable.
Absolutely.
Right? I think it's a terrific example. I'll ask you one sort of futuristic question. We talked about fleets, but we only talk about the fleets as we know them today, which is internal combustion engines, on-ground devices or machines, and generally human-led. All those three assumptions of fleets would change. It may be self-driven, it may be electrical vehicles, and they may not be on the ground. They could be flying like drones. Yes. What is your vision for Michelin Connected Fleet to handle this whole new type of fleet in the future?
I think we see this coming already because the EV aspect is already there. I mean, some of the customers are actually transitioning from ICE to EV, or ICE combustion engine to electrical vehicle, and they are asking us to give them the ability to understand how they can electrify their fleet. And some of them have already electrified their fleet, and they just need to make sure that the solutions that we provide, they are not specifically designed to support only one type of engine. And you forgot to mention the hydrogen, because hydrogen might be a thing. It's not being developed as EV today, but it could well be progressing in the future. I do think we need to get ready for new type of transportation. and autonomous vehicle is coming as well. So we need to be ready, because I'm sure that at some point in the future, fleet manager in specific areas, they will be able to use autonomous vehicle the same way they can decide to go for ICE or EV and or autonomous. So I think we will see more of a mixed in the different in the possibilities for a fleet manager to transport whatever they have to transport, whether it's human, whether it's goods, whatever they need to transport. Clearly, there will be an evolution of that, and they will be able to, and they will want to manage their capabilities, whether it's on the ground or not, in the future. So it will be coming. How fast it will be coming is difficult to say, but we need to be ready for that. We need to make sure that we understand what are the problems that are going to be coming with those new type of services that are going to be coming in the future. I'll give you an example. For example, in the context of electrical vehicle, charging has been a big thing. And on the charging side, we had to develop some algorithm, again using AI in this context, to make sure that we understand exactly how the battery is actually being discharged in a very real life context, with a load, with the weather outside, whether it's hot or whether it's cold, with the driver behavior, because depending on how you drive an EV, you can consume the battery way faster than what the OEM is saying. So these are the type of tools that are going to be necessary if we move from ICE to another mechanic or to another mode of propulsion, whether it's EV or another mechanics. So we will need to adapt our solution depending on the type of transportation mechanism that will be available in the future. So we need to anticipate. What's in our radar today is really autonomous vehicle.
I think this is just the beginning of a completely different era for telematics, right? Which is probably a good segue into the second solution, the second major solution or service that you focus on. The first one, as we discussed, was Michelin Connected Fleet. Second is Tire as a Service. Mm-hmm. Now, I find this fascinating because what you're basically selling is, I'm not selling you a tire, I'm selling you a subscription to use a tire, yes? And I'm going to monitor the tire using telematics, and you're going to pay for the subscription, whether it's new, worn out, or has to be replaced. That's part of this SLA. Tell us a little bit about what this solution is.
So this solution is the ability for the customer to consume tire as a service. So they pay, as you say, a subscription fee, and then Michelin and his partners, they are managing all the activities that has to happen around the tire. It's not just replacement, might be rotation, there might be other aspects of maintenance that we have to do on the tires. And we take care of that for the customer. What we just need to capture the information pertaining to the tires so that we know when we have to do these operations. And when you digitalize this type of services, then you can capture that information automatically and be able to know when a certain action has to be done on the tire. The benefit for the customer is effectively the customer will concentrate on his business and will not be distracted by managing tires, because managing tires takes a lot of time. You need to order, you need to change, you need to stop the vehicle. I mean, all these aspects needs to be managed. And some customers are big enough and they have the facility to do that, they have the structure to do that, but some of the customers, they don't want to invest energy on that aspect. They want to focus on their business. Therefore, they're delegating to us tire as a service.
And is the target customer more small to mid-size fleet managers or transportation agencies, or do large complex institutions also like this kind of a service?
We have medium to large.
You have medium to large.
Usually small customers, they are handling themselves. But medium to large is the main customers that we are having on the tire as a service.
And do you see the growth of electrical vehicles be a driver for this? Because here's what I heard from a manufacturer of an electrical vehicle. Mm-hmm. They say EV today is what? There's no machine in it. It's just a box, all right, with all kinds of software in it. and the one physical part is the tire. And because of the torque on an EV, the tires on an EV burn out faster. I didn't know that. This was new knowledge. But that must mean good tailwinds for the tire as a service business, no? Do you see that?
No, we haven't seen it properly. I read the same thing, and I totally understand why it's the case, because the torque on an electric motor will be more important than on an ICE vehicle. But we haven't seen it today materialized concretely in our data yet. Maybe we'll see it, but we haven't seen it today.
Interesting. I think these two solutions are already being transformed by AI, as you see. What is the biggest impact that AI will have in the tire as a service business?
Tire as a service business will benefit from AI in the context of being able to anticipate. So all the aspect around predictive tire maintenance is going to benefit from artificial intelligence combined with the physics, because artificial intelligence will not know about the physics about the tires. So combining the physics of the tire and some artificial intelligence will allow us, and it's already allowing us, to anticipate the wear of the tire, the grip, the load, some of the informations that are important for the fleet manager. The fleet manager today, they are focusing and they are very interested in the pressure, but moving forward, we are pretty sure that the operators, they will be interested in understanding and being able to anticipate what behavior, what action is going to be needed for their tire, because of the complexity. Planning, scheduling, stopping the vehicle, replacing a tire is very costly for everybody, all the parties involved. Therefore, the ability to anticipate action is going to be very important for the business.
It's fascinating. Again, this whole tire business, I didn't know this till I started serving Michelin. When Michelin sells tires across the full spectrum, tires for space vehicles and airplanes, and you know what that tire looks like, and my son's bicycle, yes, and everything in between.
And mining.
And mining, yes. Well, that's a whole different game, right?
Yes.
And I think if you think about the application of telematics and AI to that whole industry, the world is your oyster, right? I mean, you can expand the tire as a service business to a much wider range of customers. It will take time.
Possibly.
But it would, because predictive maintenance of aircraft tires is going to create far more value than if you're looking at trucks, yes? At least in the value per tire. I think these two are the big ones, but there's also a few other areas where you have got what I would call emerging solutions. Mobility intelligence is one. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So mobility intelligence is the ability for a customer, when they use that feature, the ability for the customer to select, to define the criteria to define the best route for their transportation journey. And you can select a route which is improving your TCO, you can improve safety, you can manage the different criteria, so that you build a route which is going to be responding to your criteria. And it's important for the fleet manager, because sometimes they want to go faster, but sometimes they are more interested in safety. Okay, so the ability for us to capture the information about road conditions, about the dangerosity of a road is important. We capture that, we transform that information with, again, algorithmic data science or AI, and then we have the ability this way to help the customer select the right journey or the right route to transport the data they have to transport.
So if you look at this common pattern across all of this, if you look at Michelin Connected Fleet, which is a telematics solution, tire as a service, and mobility intelligence, the secret sauce is being able to take all this data and deliver real-time relevant decision and insights to the persona that is relevant. So this is a data business, right? Technology is really the framework which allows you to capture and process data. And I can tell you, we have a lot of people in the business. Data scientists are hard to find. So I'm going to ask you a people and culture question. How do you attract and retain and grow this talent in a world where technology is changing so quickly? And you know, somebody who knows how to train an LLM for a dispatcher and a fleet management system is not the same as the one who's helping a portfolio manager on Wall Street. So how do you attract this talent and make sure they don't leave?
So we at Michelin, as part of our strategy, and it's part of Michelin's DNA, we include in our business and our strategy what we call the 3 Ps. And in those 3 Ps, there's profit, but there's also people and planet. And I think taking care of our people and also having objectives around the planet, making the planet better, consuming less resources is important. These are messages that are being very well received by new generations, and they are listening to this kind of message. And this is helping us attract some talents and retain some of the talents. Inside Michelin, we also have some programs to grow people and to train them, to help them transition to different positions. So we have the ability to keep our people. So first of all, we have the ability to recruit people because they are sensitive to that strategy. But also we have the ability to grow them, and I guess this is the secret sauce. We have been able to, since I was in the UK, we have been able to attract very good talent, data science people, and they are really happy, and they stayed with us for a number of years. It's the same in France and in other places. We have very good people. So we are capable of attracting very good talent. Not saying it's easy, but we are able to do it.
And you also may have people who are smart, who are motivated, but who may not have the skills for what you need. How do you think? What's your philosophy on upgrading them, upskilling them?
So we have training programs. As part of the Michelin infrastructure, we have some solutions for HR and to train programs. So we have the ability to do some level of training, and it will not compensate 100% what the school curriculum will bring to the people, but we definitely have the ability to help people grow in their position, and especially give them some abilities in terms of AI and data science.
I have to say, Laurent, this has been a fascinating discussion. I have, over the last 6 years, been exposed to the full glory of the tire business in a way that I hadn't. We take the tire for granted, but there's a whole industry behind it, and it's being rapidly transformed by data and AI. And Laurent here is at the helm of it. It's truly a pleasure to have you, Laurent. But here's one little known fact, or maybe very well-known fact about Michelin. I don't know if you know that this tire company is also the owner of the Michelin Restaurants Guide. So we'll end this podcast with saying, what is a tire company doing in this business?
So it's it's interesting, but the guide came because at the beginning there was not enough information about places to drive, and then Michelin invented the concept of the guide to say, and by the way, if you go here, you will find you will be able to visit this. You will have this restaurant, and the guide came about by like an incentive to help people determine where they could drive with their vehicle, because at the beginning there was nothing to help them say, okay, well, you have a vehicle, but where do you want to go? Well, the guide was invented by Michelin just for that, just to make sure that people had a destination to go for.
So they would drive and buy more tires.
I don't think it was meant for that. It was meant for people to have an objective and they were able to drive for to go visit something.
Interesting.
And this is how it came about.
It is truly special. I mean, this was started in 1900.
Yeah, I think it's the beginning of the
It's sort
century.
of
Yes.
when the industrial age was sort of in its full glory. I mean, that's the spirit of Michelin. I find it very fascinating that innovation is in the DNA, the way you've thought about it. Even the polymer business is taking the core composite manufacturing capability and taking it to the construction business.
Yes.
I think it's a wonderful organization, and for Nessians, it's a pleasure to be serving you. I can tell you your point around people and how you treat your people also translates to the way you treat the Ness engineers who work on many of these fascinating platforms, Tire as a Service, Michelin Connected Fleet. We worked on all of those and more. But the most important thing is the way you treat our people. And for that, I truly appreciate you. You thanked me, but really it's my team out there who's done all the hard work. So thanks for being a great partner to us. I'm in New York, you're in France. What's your favorite Michelin-rated restaurant? Because we're going to go there the next time we meet.
So I think there's one in Lyon which is called Mère Braisée.
Okay.
And there's a whole story about the ladies in Lyon, and some of them are very famous chefs now. Mère Braisée is one of them.
Is that right?
We should definitely try it.
So point noted, I'll figure out a way to come to that restaurant. But thank you so much for making this trip, and it's a real pleasure to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure.